Hey, we're here and we're back on the podcast with Mr. Erik Huberman, who's the founder and CEO of Hawke Media. And we're here to talk about how Hawke Media is the fastest growing marketing consultancy in the US. And it was built on a very simple idea that every business needs CMO-level expertise, but without the overhead of a traditional agency. And so Erik is going to set us straight. He'll tell us what we need to know, and he is going to tell us about how he's a trailblazing entrepreneur and marketing expert. He's celebrated for redefining how brands grow and succeed in an ever-evolving marketplace. He's helped scale over 5,000 brands worldwide. We're talking about Red Bull, Verizon, Funko, Crocs. And so Erik has been around the block. He knows a few things. He can help us out. So Erik, glad to be speaking with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. And so we were just talking right before we were recording how you recently made it on the cover of Rolling Stone, so you know your stuff. But as far as you and what excites you, like what are you all about? What gets you super energized and excited?
Yeah, to clarify, not the cover of Rolling Stone, just in Rolling Stone. But that's been
shoot.
fun.
All right.
Someday. Yeah, it's been good. What gets me excited? It's really growth. Like I love growing and learning and building and watching things compound and grow. And so building a business that I get to grow my business by growing other businesses just has felt like a good fit for a long time. Like that, it is that simple, I would say.
I love it. And there's something to be said about if you have a friend and their closet's a mess, their bedroom's a mess, their house is a mess, you say, I don't normally have to step over all the stuff in your house. I'd love it if I have these ideas of how we can rearrange things, how we can make the space look a lot better. And so I wonder if there's some of that with yourself, of you look at other businesses and you see like, so much of this could be better. They could be more organized, have the PR machine going, have the marketing going. So is that fair to say that like looking at someone else's business, you're excited and might not, their excitement might have waned just because they've been around it so much?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the core of the role is to, we go into businesses and we go, oh, if you did this, and this differently or better, you would have a much more successful business. You'd probably have a lot more fun. Like these are the opportunities. And thankfully, because of pattern recognition, we've been doing it so long with so many different companies. It happens very quickly now. It's like you can nail it in, minutes. Oh, this is where you have a problem. And that's the beauty of being in this and being, having such a wide view of how things are going is we know what success looks like. It comes very quickly at this point. And so we know exactly where to look when things are off.
You have that intuitiveness. If a cop approaches a crime scene, he's like, oh, I know what happened. If a car mechanic hears that whine in the car engine, he's like, oh, I've seen this. I have a good idea of where to start. And so to help us understand the magic of what you do, like what sort of businesses do you like to help? Is it evenly spread out, or is there like a certain profile?
No, we really like the small and medium business. Like one thing that's typical of our company is most agencies that get to our scale, 250, 300 people, only work with the Fortune 2000. Like that's kind of the typical roadmap for agencies is once you get to literally half our size, you stop working with small and medium businesses. And I'm the opposite. I wanted to be the company, the brand that they knew they could go to and trust and be that brand in the sort of, I need a marketing partner and I'm trying to grow my business space. So that's the sort of difference. We do work with big companies too, but really the focus is how do we help growth driven businesses, and sort of that 5 to 50 million revenue company is kind of the sweet spot. We work with plenty of companies smaller than that and bigger than that too. And so that's really like when we focus in terms of industry, we're agnostic. And we found that by being more, ubiquitous across different industries, it actually allows us to pull different ideas from different places that we can be a lot more creative and strategic versus just running the same playbook over and over again, which is the risk you fall into when you work with an agency that just focuses on one vertical.
Ooh, yeah. You get trapped in the bubble the same way you might get trapped you go to the same conferences, you see the same competitors, the same ideas, and then everyone kind of in that industry does the same thing. But then you go and look over in, well, hey, they're doing this over in weight loss. They're doing that over in manufacturing. They're accepting cryptocurrency years before anyone else. Or they're like, well, you join this membership site and you can join these other membership sites. There's always ideas to be plucked from other industries. And so when you go to one of these companies and you're like, hey, we love what you're doing as far as growing, but you could be doing all these things. Is there a sort of low hanging fruit? Do you see like a lot of growth potential just left out in the open right off the bat usually?
The number one, yes, is the answer. It's very rare we find someone that's just done everything right. And listen, if they're doing everything right, then our question is, why don't you spend more? Like, go. Everything's
Yeah.
working really well. You should be great. You have the opportunity to grow a lot faster. Like, go figure it out because the part that people miss in that sense is that it's fleeting. Like, it's not like your company's going to be the hot new thing forever or hit that timing perfectly. So when everything's performing really well, take advantage of it and scale. Make hay while the sun shines. It's a cliche for a reason. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's one. What I do see, the biggest thing people miss is people forget they have a sales cycle or a consideration period, either two different ways to call it, where it's like people take time to think about buying your product or service. It takes time. And so they all read their marketing and look at their performance. Like, we spent this much today and made this much today. It's like nobody buys your product today. Like, when I say nobody, it's hyperbole. Like, but a small percentage of people purchase immediately from an advertisement. Just like you've seen, like every Super Bowl ad you see, you might buy from those products that you saw in the Super Bowl now, 6 months from now, et cetera. But most likely you didn't pick up the phone and buy whatever you saw in a Super Bowl ad immediately that day. And by the way, a lot of people that ran those Super Bowl ads were probably looking at their performance that day, which is ridiculous because all the people that saw your ad are watching the Super Bowl. They're not going out and shopping right now. So it's those kind of things that marketers forget and business owners, and they end up running, let's say, using that example, you run a Super Bowl ad. That day you didn't make a lot of sales. You go, we're never doing any of this TV marketing again. You shut everything down. Like a month later, all of a sudden your numbers are great. And you're like, I don't know why, because you're, again, not giving credit to the thing that happened a month ago. You're looking at your ad spend now and going like, thank God we shut down TV. Now we're making great returns. It's like, no, you forgot that you funneled in a ton of people a month ago from that. And that all sounds simple when I explain it, but I literally have these conversations weekly with companies and brands.
Right, the lag time, right? Where because you're looking at, well, I spent this much this month and I got that much out this month, and instead of like tracking the lead or the other people, the cause and effect is all out of whack, right? You say, well, because of the lag time, I did all this, I was too impatient, I gave up too soon, I shut it down, and then the money came in, and it feels like counterintuitive, right? I
Yeah.
stopped advertising, and the money came in, and that's a dangerous place to be, isn't it? Because then you
Yeah.
draw the wrong conclusions and you say, oh, well, I just need to not advertise, and then it's a slow decline. You say, man, I should listen to Erik, I should have
Yeah.
had a better strategy. And so as far as solving the problem, like, where are companies missing the boat? Do they not have a good like CRM, or are they not organized enough, or have like a multi-month plan? Like, what could be done?
Everything you just said, but honestly, it comes down to just having good talent. Like the problem with marketers, why I started Hawke, 99% of marketers have no idea what they're doing. There's no barrier to entry. There's no barrier to entry to start an agency. Some people are able to fail up and just like they've been doing it for 20 years, not well, but they're still doing it. So let's give them a job. And people don't know how to vet these people. It is really hard to, and if you're not a marketer yourself, just like if you're not a developer yourself, hiring a developer, like to interview that person and figure out whether they actually know what they're talking about. By nature, marketers are generally extroverts. They're generally pretty, good at speaking and language, so they can sell themselves pretty well. Like those are kind of table stakes for anyone that's getting into marketing. So the idea that they're going to be good at marketing is the hard part. And so you got to get people that actually know what they're doing and have credible. And I've been there before, and I've taken a company from where you are to where you want to be is a really big one. And that being said, that like simple change. So like Facebook up until mid 2021, you were able to track 28 days of someone clicked through a Facebook ad. For 28 days, you could see if they purchased. So that's a much more accurate window because online, the average sales cycle is around a month. Like it's a little more than a month. So it depends on your price point. It does vary, but let's just say a month is a decent bucket and a decent indicator. So when you had that, you didn't have to be very smart to just look at the Facebook dashboard and just go, oh, this is how we're performing. And that was a close enough metric that you're like, okay, that you can use that. That dropped to a week 4 years ago. And so now for the past 4 years, Facebook's been reporting on a week sales cycle, which is way under the real sales cycle, meaning Facebook's constantly underreporting its performance. And if you're not just to have that basic level of savvy with marketing to understand that that's a misreported number, a lot of people are looking at Facebook going, oh, it's not working, and turning it off. And so smart marketers now are doubling down there. Not so smart marketers are not. And that ends up really how companies end up struggling because they're trying to find these places where they can spend $1 today and make $5. And that's not a reality.
Right. And I can see how if they're not as deep in the weeds as you or your agency, if they're just kind of like, if they have all these other responsibilities and then the Facebook ads kind of comes into play a little bit, how they can miss out on some of this, right? They don't have the many years of the expertise and the adaptability. And then also the timeliness of like, well, hey, Facebook made this change, so now we have to go with that. And so it's a lot to navigate, right? And especially like you're mentioning some of these ideas of like doing good work, doing a good job, being able to sell yourself, being able to deliver results. And what's always interesting to talk about on a podcast are the ups and downs, right? The roller coasters, the stresses. So as far as what you've been doing with Hawke Media and differentiating and delivering good results, do you have any sort of struggle story to share with us about just the difficult times or what you had to do to adjust and adapt?
I mean, it's constant. I think that the fallacy of running a business is that you hit some point where it's just stable and it's easy. Like it's easy and stable when you sell and get out, which I haven't done. So like to me, like struggle, I think is always, it's a bit too much of a word. Like there's challenges, but I think there's always different challenges. And as you get bigger, the challenges get bigger. And, there's so many different things that fly at you when you're running a business. Economic, like right now is a good example. Like, Trump's tariffs, not even speaking on this in terms of my political opinion, just saying Trump's tariffs are scaring companies, which are making them pause on should we be investing in growth. We had a company that's manufactures in Mexico that decided to pull back on their marketing because they don't know, even if we are currently profitable in the way that we're marketing their business, if their cost basis doubles because of tariffs, then they won't be profitable. So they don't want to overinvest right now in customer acquisition because they might be investing underwater. So things like that, which I don't agree with that decision, to be honest. I think that pulling back and getting less aggressive in a time that might be uncertain is a great way to ensure that you struggle. And we saw that with COVID. But it's still the reality of people, fight or flight is a thing. And some people fight. And that's when you lean in, you figure out what you're going to do, you attack and you do better. But some people flee, they go for flight. And that is pulling back on everything. And you see that in these uncertain economies that we've had for 5 years between COVID and post-COVID, and interest rates skyrocketing faster than they have in 40 years. And then now we're dealing with the tariff stuff. Like business owners have been bruised and battered for 5 years now, and we see that evidently in the way people react to getting aggressive at marketing, want to grow their business. Like people just want stability when frankly I think it's a very hard thing to find.
Yes, agreed. And it's like, it used to be, well, if you want stability, just be an employee instead of an entrepreneur. But even that isn't much in terms of stability. So I think
Actually,
it's a very,
the irony is I said that stability used to be go get a government job. And like now you have Doge, like that's not even stable.
yeah,
So
it's like, what's even left? Exactly.
yeah,
And so I think it's a very an American idea, right? The maybe fail upwards is like the wrong term, but this idea of like, well, have resilience and double
right.
down and
Yeah,
figure out a different way versus the self-defeating, self-fulfilling prophecy of saying, well, I've decided in advance that this will happen soon, so I'll shut down. I won't even try. And like you mentioned, COVID and how ridiculous it was that we were out of toilet paper. And it wasn't like there was a problem at the moment. It was just that there was the rumors around that toilet paper was going away. So then there was panic buying, and then it became true just because of the self-fulfilling prophecy. It hurts your head. And so we want to think smarter. And then, so as far as what excites you about the future and like what can be done with marketing and online ads and all these other things you go on, like, is there something in particular in these next couple of years that just has you super jazzed up?
I think AI and the efficiency it creates, it's a cliche. I'm sure some people have said it before on this, but like AI creates a lot of cool opportunity to get people out of the weeds and things that are sort of remedial tasks and focus on their highest and best use as a person, as a brain. And I think that's going to be exciting and a lot more fun of an engaging job because, it's the old joke about if a bear is charging at you and a friend, and the one guy bends down to tie his shoes, the other guy goes, "You can't outrun a bear. What are you doing?" You go, "I don't have to outrun a bear. I have to outrun you." I think that sort of cliche metaphor is going to become a lot more real, where there's going to be so much more table stakes because of AI, where it's like, yeah, all the purchase cycle stuff that I'm talking about that everybody misses. When you have AI, you don't make those misses. It knows, like, it's got all that knowledge. So then it's going to be much more about, like, what are you going to do very creatively to differentiate yourself in a market from a marketing standpoint, from a product standpoint. And I think that's exciting, because I think the cream will rise to the top. It won't be about tactics and tricks. It'll be, more about, like, being a great company and great at what you do. And I'm excited for that situation. I think that's good. And then you get into, like, that's on the marketing side. In terms of society in general, I think it's really interesting to see a world where a lot of the basic things that right now people do being replaced by AI. I don't have the same dystopian future fear that, like, oh, we're going to lose a ton of jobs, because every other shift like this in the history of the world, it's created way more jobs than it's killed. So I think it's going to be a really exciting time on the AI side. Other than that, I point to this sort of erratic society we've been in for the past 5 years, where everything seems like it's always on fire and falling apart. I don't think that lasts forever. I think we're going to look back and go, 2020 to 2020 something, hopefully, was a ridiculous time in history. We went from a pandemic to an economic, like, we froze our investment world for 2 years. We had wars going on different fronts. We have, all sorts of things that are scaring people. And I think at some point, I got to imagine that stops happening. I think it's going to be I'm excited for what happens when people do have a sense of stability, and greed can drive the economy is driven by greed or fear. When fear can subside and people get back to being greedy and all wanting stuff and all wanting to invest, and all these things can happen, I'm really excited as to what that next cycle looks like.
I'm excited too. The seasons, right? You have the bear and the bull market. You figured
Right.
that computers were invented because of World War II. You had this conflict, and then it forced the next step in the change.
Yeah.
And I can definitely relate to a lot of what you're saying with AI, just how it seems to, like, elevate us all to, like, a managerial role, right? It used to be, if I had to write a 12-part, 16-part email sequence, that would eat up my whole week. But now I just kind of massage the chat GPT back and forth, look at competitors and say, like, what's the overlap? What are they missing? I feel like I'm more of a guide, and I'm telling my intern what to do. And it feels like a lot, like, I think better, because I'm not switching back into, like, the grunt worker mentality and back. And it just seems like it's a lot more momentum. And so as far as you as a person, Mr. Erik, like, you have a lot figured out, but this whole entrepreneurial journey, it's very, like, high stress, high risk, high reward. And everyone's always working on something, right? They're working on, like, their physical fitness or their self-talk or something like that. So is there anything in particular, like, mentally, psychologically, mindset wise, that you think that you're currently working on with yourself?
I've done a lot of work on it, so I'm focusing on currently. Like, I'm big on the fitness side, try to take care of myself, try to get a lot of sleep, like all the cliches, and I keep saying cliche, but all of the things that are out there right now in the world, from, like, all the biohackers. I'm actually not to the extent of, like, 250 vitamins a day, but, like, I take care of myself pretty well. I don't really drink alcohol. When I say don't really, I really don't drink alcohol. I don't drink caffeine. Again, try to get a good night's sleep every night, try to keep on my fitness game, try to just take care of myself, eat well, all those kind of things. I would say more to help my mental health is I'm really trying to build a more robust executive team at Hawke right now, so that less of the firefighting falls on my plate. So having people that really can manage parts of the business in a way that I don't have to, and really can own it, and really, like, whether it's existing executives we already have or ones that we need to bring in right now, I'm trying to get it to a point where it's like, the business is going to do great without me, and I can just be additive. And that's a really hard place to get. I don't know if and it's never done, meaning, like, you'll get there for a little while maybe, and then something will fall apart. But I'm very focused on trying to get that as close as possible right now, so that I can really enjoy this for the long term. Like, what I'm trying to do is build a business that I never have to sell. I mentioned, like, you're not done till you sell. Like, you're always going to have to run it. So if I can build a business that I enjoy running, that it's all the things I like to do and I get to focus on, and it's none of the firefighting I don't like to do. And we're somewhere in between, is, I guess, the point. Like, there's a lot of stuff I don't have to deal with, which is great, but there's a lot of stuff I still do that I'm trying to build that infrastructure so that this thing is humming and I can focus on my highest and best use because that's when it's fun.
And that's great. And that's what we want to do, right? You're
Yeah.
headed in the right direction as far as like getting the right people around you and empowering them, enriching them, which can, I'm sure, be frustrating at first, right? When you're getting started, it's tempting for you to
Yeah.
want to be the control freak and do all the work. But it's like if you have your team do it for you and you mentor and guide them, that's more sustainable. And then that
Mhm.
frees you up to kind of tackle all these other kind of big problems and just challenges, as you said. And so
Yeah, I would
want to
say
mention. Oh, yeah.
it's actually just real quick on that. It's less about like I've never really had a problem delegating, and I know some people do, but that's never been an issue for me. But it's about actually getting the best talent, and that's again another cliche, but like taking your time to get people that are really going to take this above and beyond where you are and are smarter than you in the space that they're sitting in. Like that's the part that you have to be really patient on. And as someone that again doesn't have a problem delegating, I was at times more apt to grab someone and be like, "Great, you'll do. Now go handle this." And that causes a lot of downstream problems too.
Yeah. So it's a lot to grapple with, right? And it takes some amount of humbling, doesn't it? To just say,
Yeah.
well, I want to get people who are smarter and more capable than me to get this done because otherwise I'm the bottleneck and I'll be held back. And so we
Yeah.
have a couple of resources here, right? There's the Hawke Method, which is your excellent book, The Three Principles of Marketing That Made Over 3,000 Brands Soar. That's Hawke, just like on the baseball cap there, right? Hawke.
Yeah.
And it's a USA Today bestseller, and anyone can gain from the shrewd strategies in the Hawke Method and use them to fly above the competition. But more importantly, the reason we're here is hawkemedia.com. That's Hawke with an E, media.com. Hawke was founded on the idea that every modern business needs a CMO-level expert to lead its marketing efforts. So they've created customized, performance-driven solutions around your unique business, helping you to launch, scale, and invigorate your brand. And so as far as finding out more about you and Hawke Media, where should someone go? What are some next steps here?
Yeah, I mean, hawkemedia.com, we'll do a free consultation for anyone and look at your marketing and give you some feedback on what you're doing. That's, part of our process. So happy to help. I mean, I'm at or slash Erik Huberman on any social, so I'm easy to find too intentionally. And again, the idea is we want to be at Hawke the best at what we do, but easy to work with. So that kind of drives everything we do. We're cost effective, nimble, flexible, easy to reach. Like those are all part where I never like the pretentiousness of good agencies where it's like, oh, now we're only going to work with these people, or I'm too good to work with these companies. It's like I've been so surprised by several brands where when they came in the door, I was like, there's no way that's going to work. And they've crushed it. That at this point, I've humbled myself and I'm here to just, bring what I have to the table, which is great marketing.
I love it. And that's a great phrase here. You said how you're the best at what you do, but also easy to work with. And that's a great combination. Like I had a friend once where she needed glasses when she was super young, and they wrote a letter to George Bush Sr., and somehow happened. So that's a great mix, right? Of when someone
Yep.
has the skill, the power, the stature, but they're also
Yep.
willing to help people of all sizes because that's what it's
Nailed it.
all about. You don't want to shut the door behind you. And so it's worth having that conversation to get your marketing figured out, to get these exceptional results. If you're a $5 to $50 million business, but Erik even said, don't let that limit you. It's worth still having that conversation. That's HAWKE media.com. You go there. There's a button there. It says let's talk. So that way you can schedule that conversation with Mr. Erik and his team to see if it makes sense for you having this outsourced CMO. And then we also said Erik Huberman on all social media. So if you're a LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok person, whatever, then you find Erik there on your platform of choice. And then while people are going to hawkemedia.com, Mr. Erik, it's time to try to stump you a little bit, try to put you on the spot. It's the scary part of the show where I ask for a helpful quote or lesson that has served you that you can pass on to us. So what comes to mind as far as a helpful quote or lesson?
There's probably three, but I'll start with the one that I think I repeat the most, which is I'll work like most people won't, so I can live like most people can't. It's something that I have to tell myself quite a bit when you talk about the stresses of running a business and the amount of work you have to put in, the hours away from your family, and this past weekend I had to probably put in 15 hours a day plus and lose some sleep over a problem that we fixed, and thankfully it's all good in the rearview mirror now, but was pretty rough at the time. And that's just the reality. And it's that mantra of like, I'd rather, I'm going to work like most won't so I can live like most can't. And you have to make sure both of those are a thing. You're going to work your absolute butt off being an entrepreneur, but then hopefully it's going to open up a life that you wouldn't have been able to have otherwise. And that's a big one for me. Another one that I heard from my dad a lot as a kid was just swing the bat, like go for it, try things, do things. Like you're gonna fail, you're also gonna succeed. You got to just keep trying till you connect, and then keep trying after that, because nothing, again, as we talked about, nothing's stable. So swinging the bat's a big one. And then I had a quote in college that I said when I was graduating, which is, I'd rather regret what I did than regret what I didn't, which kind of drives a lot of my life, which is like, try things. I want to do everything. I want to try everything. I want to taste everything. Like I really want to get the most I have out of this life. And so again, those all relate, but that's really the driving factors for me.
I like that. It's a great combination that you need to try, you need to do your best, and you need to be prepared to fail because you're looking for that small percentage of successes that keeps you going. And then on the other side of that, the benefit, the reward, right? You're not just working these long hours for the heck of it. You're doing it because of what it will give you once you solve these problems and build the business of your dreams. But if you find yourself trapped in your own actions, your own beliefs, your own thinking, if you're the bottleneck, it's time to make a change and chat with Mr. Erik Huberman and his team at hawkemedia.com. So go there right now. That's HAWKEMEDIA.com, hawkemedia.com, especially if you were educated and inspired by what Mr. Erik had to say as far as his business advice, life advice. I know I was impressed. So if you were impressed as well, hawkemedia.com is the place to go. And thanks very much, Mr. Erik, for showing up, stopping by, and giving us some amazing advice. I really appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
All right.